The Angry Chicken is a production of Amove TV. Bookmark amove.tv for more gaming and esports shows. The Angry Chicken is directly supported by listeners like you via patreon.com/TAC.
Everyone, get in here!
Ready for action!
I've got the beast in my sight.
A podcast about Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. This is the Angry Chicken.
It's launch day! It's here! Freaking Gadgetzan, guys! Hi, everyone. I'm Garrett. He's Dills. She's Jocelyn. And this is our extra episode of The Angry Chicken this week because Mean Streets of Gadgetzan has launched as of a few, almost an hour ago now, way earlier than we expected. And we've got a couple extra cards we still need to talk about before we continue on with our stream and crack a bunch of packs, and I cry because I have about half as many packs to open as you two. But anyways, welcome back, guys. How you doing?
I'm ready. I'm sitting here. I'm staring at my packs. They took away the animation,
Hearthstone.
by the way. I don't know if you guys noticed this. They're not jiggling at me all the time.
But they're not covered in tentacles, so that kind of makes sense. If a vault was jiggling, that'd be weird. But like, it should be like spinning or something.
If it'd be cool. Yeah, if every now and then a little
like
thing
the
just spun
gears
around.
moved, yeah.
That'd be awesome.
It should do like
Although I haven't opened a pack yet. I don't know what that animation looks like. So
Yeah, that's true. That's got to be the spinning vault door thing on it. It has to be.
There should be like a knock, like something's trying to get out of it, like a ding ding,
Cool. Okay.
that kind of thing. That'd be fine.
That would be
Like
cool.
like when like a cartoon version where it's like it makes a little hole like a little bump comes out on each
Yeah.
side as it's trying to bang their way
yeah,
out.
or it kind of bends out in the center. Something like that would be cool.
I'm on board.
Anyways,
I'm on board.
yeah, chat room. I'm in my grimy goon getup. In case you're wondering, I've allied myself with grimy goons for political reasons. They're the clan that is most likely going to make the Angry Chicken possibly playable. So
You went and spoke with Don Honcho, and
yeah, he made me an offer I
blessed
couldn't
you,
refuse.
kissed his ring.
Yeah, which gotta say, salty and kind of gross because he's an ogre.
This might be the Angry Chicken's time to shine, though, right? Because
I
if
hope
you
so.
can get a +5/+5 buff on a 1-drop 1/1 with Enrage +6.
Seems pretty good.
Yeah, like come on.
Yeah. Now, right off the bat, before we get in to talk about our the cards left, before we forget to mention it, because we're recording this like not even an hour after it went live. So apparently, there appears to be a bug where we all have a much higher chance of opening tri-class cards in our Gadgetzan packs than anything else, and Hearthstone has tweeted about it and said they are looking into it. So I'm curious to see what the outcome of this is.
Well, there's 9 total of those cards.
Yep.
So if you get a higher chance to get them, and I'm about to open 140 packs, it would kind of suck to get more than 2 of each of those at the expense of getting some of the other ones. However,
Yep.
some of the tri-class cards are legendaries, and I think are there epics in there too? So I can't remember if it's commons and rares, but if it is that, then that would be a lot of dust. So
It's
I don't know.
usually it's one common,
There's
one rare,
one
and one
legendary.
legendary.
One legendary, one common, one rare?
Yes.
Or is one an epic?
No epics.
Okay.
No, I think they're rare, yeah.
All right, boo. If it was
Yeah.
epics, I'd be like, hey, man, extra dust, follow me. But
Yeah. Well, if I get a bunch of legendary tri-class, I guess I'll be okay with that. But we'll see. I'm curious how they will fix that. Like,
So I'm so disappointed in you, Garrett, because I really thought that you were going to talk about the single most important bug which has come out of this expansion so far, and that is the fact that when you have spell power on board, your cards don't sparkle anymore. Where'd my sparkles go, Blizz?
well,
Wait, what?
They moved your sparkles to the other guy's hand when he plays
know.
Grimy Goons now,
It's
which
like
we should
there's a
also
cat-
talk
Yeah.
about briefly.
Yeah,
This is
it's
the
like there's
first
a cap
time
on
ever
sparkles.
there's an indication of something in your opponent's hand.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like this.
I don't.
to be honest.
I don't think I like this because it's just that, right? That is the only thing where we get an indication of it being in their hand. And honestly, I mean, this was I think all three of us, kind of our gut reaction on the floor of BlizzCon, which was, there should be indication on these stupid tri-class cards of what class card the person selects, because that's
they
ridiculous.
should have like
that
the color of the class or something kind of highlighted around it, and then when they pick it, you kind of see.
Yeah, because
which
that
one
is,
it is
such an obscene range of possibilities from those particular tri-class cards. The tri-class cards where you can pick you can discover one card from 3 separate classes. Like that, the range on that is ridiculous. There should be some type of indication.
I just want consistency is what I want. So I'm okay with, look, indicators on your cards when they've gotten buffed through grimy goon stuff. That's fine, but they should also indicate when spell power is in play, like that they're spells. They should also indicate once Thaurissan ticks have happened, which cards have Thaurissan ticks on them. They should indicate all of it if they're going to indicate anything. Right?
I agree.
Like, it shouldn't be one thing works that way and other things do not. I think that's just for consistency's sake. Give me all or none, because none is fine, because then everyone's on a fair playing field. But this is like an immediate nerf to Grimy Goons decks, right?
I agree.
Right out the gate, Grimy Goons decks have a slight disadvantage because you are giving away information about your hand to the opponent.
Yeah, because if you play one of those and they see nothing lights up, they're like, "Oh, great! Their hand is nothing but spells. I don't need to worry."
Yeah, or if they all light up when you play, say the one that buffs everything +1, they're like, "Okay, no spells. They're all minions." Like immediately, and you can now start to play around things. And yeah, that's like there's a lot of times where you'll play a card and you won't know like if the person has the card that then makes that card really dangerous or not, right?
Yep.
So that's part of the game, right? Is playing the odds in that situation. Now it's like, oh, there's no odds to play. I know exactly what's going on here. That card right there is a minion. It got buffed. I should probably save my hard removal or my silence or whatever, because I know that guy's coming down at some point. So yeah, not happy about that one.
I'm with you. I think this is it's so bizarre. I think it's such a huge oversight. And so incredibly unfair for the Grimy Goons classes. So I'm interested to see how it plays out. But if we didn't have a bunch of other cards to discuss about, I might go into a long ragey rant because I think this is awful.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of stuff to talk about, but maybe like on a show after all this is done, we can really kind of break this down, because there always have been small class hand indicators, like a dragon card comes out and doesn't get the dragon buff. Okay, there's no dragons, like that kind of stuff. But it's not like that card is a dragon, right?
Well, and you have to be paying attention as a player to realize these things that your opponent is doing, and it's adds an extra level of complexity in the game. If every dragon card you pulled was just like had fiery edges or something,
it was breathing fire. You're like, okay, cool. All
so
right,
there's a dragon in there, and you wouldn't have to pay attention. So.
Yeah. To me, part of a card game is like my cards are face down to you. You don't know what they are. There's nothing to tell you. And
I think it would be cool, and I think acceptable if when you played a Goons card, there was some sort of animation of the battle cry actually going off, so that you knew like, okay, there's a minion in hand, but you don't know which one it is or anything like that, and you still had to keep
the whole
track.
hand and then go away or something like that.
Or something, yeah.
Sure, absolutely. Because again,
I didn't even think about that. That's
do give you an indicator when they don't go off or do. So.
That is such a more elegant solution, Jocelyn. I didn't even consider that.
Ta-da!
My God.
Well, Blizzard, I hope you're listening. Come on. Come on. Just at least be consistent. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, oh man, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I think it's terrible design. Anyways, so we're gonna talk about the cards that we haven't discussed yet. So this is in no particular theme. Let's get things started with the remaining warrior and warlock cards we haven't discussed. Kicking it off with the public defender, a 2-mana common 0/7 with taunt.
Finally.
Yeah, I don't know. If I want to play a 2-mana 0/7, I'm still playing Doomsayer, I think, over this guy. Now, bolster warrior grimy goon thing, I could see this somehow. If you're playing that deck and that deck's actually good, that's probably where this will go, if anywhere ever. But yeah, if you don't get a buff on it, oh man, it does nothing, right?
Yeah.
Like, to me, like the reason why mirror images sees play at all is not because of the 2/0/2 taunts. And while those are annoying and can sometimes block and protect important minions, it's really the fact that they're a 1-mana spell. And this guy is just a 2-mana 0/7 that doesn't trade with anything. So
yeah, I think Yeah, it's because it goes in goon decks, right? Like once you get a buff on it, then it just becomes ridiculously annoying. Like I'm thinking of the 2/8 with taunt from Nax. I need to play more wild because I'm totally
Death
blanking.
Lord?
Death Lord, yes. Like those things were annoying as hell to get rid of. Yeah, so I feel like,
But it had 2 attacks, so it actually dealt with, like, it was actually
things,
anti-aggro because it killed your little minions, you know?
Yeah, so, but if you can get, like, a 1/8 or, like, a 2/9 or something because you've buffed it a couple of times, then...
I mean, if you bolster it, it is a 2/9, so...
Yeah.
It's cheap enough. So, I mean, like, that's the thing. It's like, this card isn't just terrible in the context of Grimy Goons and what we're getting in Mean Streets of Gadgetzan. It would be terrible without those other cards.
Mm-hmm.
But because we have those other cards, there's something here, and you will see this pop up from time to time. In Arena, you'll never pick this, ever. But
he's a Tauren lawyer, so I feel like we should mention that.
He is a Tauren lawyer, and he's shield blocking with his briefcase.
Yes.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
Just amazing. Also, we found a fedora that fits around his horns. Love that as well. So, well done, Public Defender. Let's talk about Sleep with the Fishes, which is really pulling for my favorite card art of this expansion, because it is a Murloc chained to a cinder block underwater, just shrugging because he can breathe underwater.
Because he's a fish.
Yes. Yeah, love this. So this is a 2-mana epic spell for warriors, and it reads deal 3 damage to all damaged minions.
I mean, you can already see the synergy, obviously.
Yep.
It's going to require a 2-card combo, which I think is the issue with the card, but that 2-card combo is pretty solid. So if you're playing some sort of fatigue type late game warrior deck that just all it wants to do is control the board, yeah, for sure. I could definitely see this card making it in because you can Ravaging Ghoul and then this on turn 5, and it not only will like kill all the bubbles and stuff, it might kill the first half of Death Rattles and then kill this, you know what I mean? It might do the good stuff for you.
Plus, that's like a 5-mana flame strike, and then you still have your 3/3 minion sitting there.
And your
chilling,
3/3 minion sits there, and you have the board now. Yes, absolutely. The thing is, though, like you have to then compare it to, like, you have to see this in the context of the deck that would want it, and you have to decide whether this card is better than, say, just running the double brawl that you already are running, right? And things like that. So it's hard to really gauge how good the card actually is because you need to see the deck that utilizes it to its potential. So I don't think you see this in, say, like a Tempo or Dragon Warrior. Mm-hmm. And current Control Warrior, there are a few tools in Mean Streets that might go in there, but I'm not sure that there are that many, and I'm not sure this one actually replaces some of the stuff they already do. I'm not even sure if Control Warrior still is even going to be good in its like current form or current like style. But if like this is the card would go best in that type of warrior. I'm sure like Zalay will come up with some sort of fatigue, kill everything warrior that runs this and does really well with it. So there's somewhere for it, for sure. 2 mana deal 3 damage to everything. Obviously, you have to damage it first. But if you just can look at 2 mana deal 3 damage to everything, like that's really good. It's just a matter of combining it now with something else to activate it.
Yeah. No, agreed. I mean, Warrior has so many cards that have upsides for damaging something but not killing it. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So
the only issue, like that's the issue I have is just that it requires a 2-card combo when like Brawl kind of achieves the same thing for 1 card and the same amount of mana as doing Ghoul into this. So we shall see. I think I just need to see the deck that utilizes this and see that deck is actually good before I know, oh yeah, this is a good card. In a vacuum, it's a fine card. Yeah. But sometimes a fine card doesn't have a deck that supports it, right?
Right. It's about finding in Constructed. It's about finding a place for it, which is what we've talked about on a couple episodes now. It's like good card. Not sure what I take out of an existing archetype to fit this in.
Sure. Yeah. And the fact that it's epic means it's very low impact as far as Arena is concerned.
Right.
And Arena would be much tougher to make this work. Although sometimes in Arena you could still play things like Deathbite. So imagine a Deathbite. Hit the face, whirlwind the opponent's board, clear their board, deal 4. You know what I mean? That's pretty.
Actually,
sweet,
yeah.
So.
Sleep with the Fish is awesome in Wild.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll definitely try this card out in Wild. I'm really excited for Wild. By the way, I know a lot of people are, just want to do Standard, but I've been having so much fun in Wild, and so many of these cards I can see fitting directly into some crazy Wild decks.
Oh, so. Crystal Weaver, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, is going directly in my Demon Warlock in Wild.
Yeah.
I'm actually really excited about Wild. I, first of all, not only played some Wild in this past week, but I played Wild Rogue, guys. Real
Yeah.
Rogue.
What? No way.
Yeah, I know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was
Welcome.
great to play down at the Angry Chicken rank. I was just
Uh-huh.
like, this is awesome. I'm
See,
wrecking these guys.
this is the key, right? If standard is your main focus, you play standard and you get up to like whatever rank, and if you feel like pushing for legend isn't going to happen that month, you just swap over to wild at like the 20 seconds,
Fun.
and you're at rank 17, and everyone's playing weird stuff. And by
Yeah.
the time you get to because I got to about 7 or 8 or something like that in wild. By the time I got there, it was a lot of secret paladin, so it started to kind of suck a little. But the journey from 17 to 8 was super fun. So yeah, it's great to have. Like, just swap over there and get down with some weird stuff. It's great.
Get down with some weird stuff. I love it. I
The
freaking
one
love
thing
it.
I will say is I queued into the same guy 4 times in a row because
Yeah,
nobody else playing.
That'll
I guess.
happen late at night too. I
Yeah.
queued the same guy a bunch of times in
It
a
was
row,
like
super
1
late at
a.m.
night, because there clearly was nobody else at our rank playing and stuff. So, but if you're like at normal peak hours, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's fine. Well, let's talk about the Warrior Legendary, which we hadn't seen until this past week. Hobart Grapplehammer. This is a 2-man legendary 2/2. My next pet will be named Hobart. I love that.
I don't know why his name makes me giggle. It just does. It's just so ridiculous.
It makes me giggle because you can look at it on the little banner on the card and see that they struggled fitting it on the card. It's the
but we
text
can't
gets
rename
so
him.
tiny.
Oh no.
Even I would argue a great name trumps text size all the time. Anyway, so this 2-mana legendary 2/2 has a battle cry that reads: "Give all weapons in your hand and deck +1 attack."
This is ridiculous.
So do these
I mean,
weapons
it
get
is,
marked?
But I'll temper the ridiculousness of it in a second. But yeah, I agree. It is ridiculous.
Like a pirate warrior, just instant concede. Done.
Well,
Even are you running weapons? Okay, well you're a warrior, so you're playing Hobart.
But the thing is, though, so I just want to point out like why this card is okay, because you look at it and you're like, dude, come on, Blizzard, you can't print this. It's okay because it only gives attack, it doesn't give durability. So it's not like your War Axe is not a 4/3 all of a sudden, right? So still like buffing it when it comes out, but the pirate is still kind of superior to this, right? But the other thing too is you can't buff a weapon that's in play, right? So first you have to draw Hobart. You have to have the weapons in your hand or deck, and if they're in your deck, you have to then draw the weapons, right? So, like, if you draw Hobart, like, say, on, like, turn 8, he's kind of weak, right? He's really good if you can play him, like, coin him on turn 2 directly into War Axe or something like that. But even then, like, War Axe doesn't really need 4 attack. If you're aggro warrior, then obviously it's an extra bit of damage. But if you really think about it, how many weapons do you actually play in aggro warrior? It's really only 2 War Axes and sometimes 2 Arcanite Reapers. And I don't think Brass Knuckles, the new weapon, makes it in. It won't buff the Rusty Hook that comes off of Nazoth's first
dude.
mate or whatever. Yeah, because that's a battle cry weapon. So, I think it's okay. It's probably actually going to add up in a individual game to maybe 4 extra damage over the course of the game, right? Because most of the time you're not going to see 3-4 weapons. If you see 3-4 weapons, you're dead whether they buffed them or not, right? So
Yeah,
I think in the long run it's okay. The thing is, though, you're only paying like 1 stat point for the effect, because this 2-mana 2/2 is just slightly weaker than a 3/2 or a 2/3. So, but I think it's like actually okay. It looks crazy, and then you start to think about how a game plays out, and you're like, okay. It's like kind of like spell power for your weapons in a sense.
and even
it's only
think,
going to add up
like,
to a few extra damage.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, it's not only available when it's on board like spell power is, right? Like, it affects your entire hand and deck. So every weapon that you have, weapons
But how
are
often
already powerful.
in an aggro warrior deck do you draw your whole deck? Like, you draw like 10, 12 cards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like in the context of a real game, I don't think, it's like, oh, it buffs everything, but like Mistweaver buffed your whole deck, and that really never saw play.
Yeah.
So like I'm just saying,
But
we can temper our craziness with this card a little, because I don't think it's as crazy as it appears at first glance.
The other thing I've been hearing a lot of people like scared about is like, oh god, what if you coin this out on 1 and he has a 4 attack War Axe on turn 2? It's like, well, what is he killing that he wasn't going to kill anyway, unless you're
exactly.
a shaman?
Face.
He's killing everything, but he's killing your face. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's still only 2 extra damage. Like in the long run, it's 2 more damage that you're taking, if you were going to die to 6 damage, you're probably also still going to die to 8 damage, right? Like from that war axe, if that's a problem for your deck. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I immediately like thought this card was disgusting. I was like, oh god, aggro warrior is just going to take over everything. But as I started to think about it, read other people's reviews, and like kind of think about how a game plays out, I was like, it's okay. It's actually okay. It's a weak minion for them to play. They have to play the minion, you know. So they have like kind of a weaker turn too. I'd rather they play this than like the start with the war axe on 2 and just start smashing face right away. So I think it's okay. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Good, very good card though. Definitely
Yes.
goes in that deck, but not disgusting. Not as disgusting as I previously thought.
Yeah. I'm excited about getting my Gorehowl up to 8 on control decks so I can kill Ragnaroses.
That's pretty sweet, actually. Yeah.
That's the thing I'm probably most excited for, is actually putting him in my slow warrior deck. But let's
He
move on.
definitely had. Yeah, I think there's a place there for like I want to try all sorts of weird, you know, Reno-y Highlander decks, and like this with a bunch of single weapons, but have like all of them. You know, oh, dude, I'm
Yes, all the single weapons. All the
Yep.
single weapons.
down. All the single weapons. All right.
Put your axe up. Okay. Let's
Oh, God.
move on and talk about some Warlock cards we haven't discussed yet, with starting with Blast Crystal Potion, a 4-mana common spell for Warlocks that reads destroy a minion and 1 of your mana crystals. All right.
This is a arena lock card, pretty much.
Mhm.
Also a good arena card because it is a common, and in arena, single target, just remove anything is pretty powerful.
There are many minions I would sack a mana crystal to kill.
Well, I mean, it's almost just like overload, right? Because you get the mana crystal
Well,
back.
But
like,
it's overload every turn from here on.
Yeah.
out. So
yeah. But if you use it late game, then because
in
I
the
like
late
I
game,
don't.
it's like no overload. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
I think one of the coolest things about this is its 4 mana cost means in arena lock you can remove a big minion and Reno Jackson in the very same turn.
Yep.
You can also play Sylvanas and kill Sylvanas with this in the very same turn. There's a lot of like interesting kind of dynamics when
Just
you get
make
to,
sure.
'cause a lot of times your removal was, you know, Siphon Soul, and with 6 mana you were left with 4, and you could play what, like nothing really impactful, right? So now you remove for 4, and you can still play something that actually impacts the board in a big way. So
Yeah. The other thing too, if you are comboing with something, make sure you play this last, because
it actually doesn't matter. No, it actually doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
No, it'll destroy one of your used crystals.
Oh.
So you'll
okay.
pay the 4, and then it'll destroy the last crystal, which is now already emptied, right?
Oh. Okay.
So,
See,
yeah,
I thought
it was actually. I think Frodan was wondering about that on stream, and then the dev was like, "Oh no, it doesn't matter." It's
Oh, I
fine."
missed that. Okay.
Yeah, but dude, I immediately thought the same thing. Like, destroy one of my full mana crystals.
Yeah.
Or
Does this actually mean it costs 5?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, I thought sequencing was a little more important there than I originally anticipated. All right, let's talk about Crystal Weaver. This card is going right in my demon decks. It's a 4-mana common 5/4 for Warlocks that has a battle cry that reads, give your demons +1/+1.
Demons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to make a demon deck go, buffing all of them is pretty sweet. It's a persistent buff, so it's not like Stormwind Champion or something like that, where if you kill the card, then the buff goes away. So
Or your favorite raid leader.
yeah, or raid leader. Yeah. I'm really excited to try this in a wild Dreadsteed deck. I think that'll
Yes.
be really fun. Play all my Dreadsteeds, buff all my Dreadsteeds +1/+1.
Oh, that'd be so
And,
gross.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Seems-
love it.
Seems good.
That sounds wonderful.
It's all demons on the board, PSUA. It's when it says give your demon, it needs to specify in your hand or in your deck for it to be that. But it just says give your demons +1/+1, so it only means your board. Demons in play.
Yeah.
But
right.
it's a 4-mana 5/4, aggressive stat line.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously 4/5s are slightly better because it's harder to kill, but 5/4s hit your face harder, so, you know, tit for tat.
Indeed.
I think it's a fine card. If you only hit 1 demon, it's fine, right?
Yeah.
If you hit 2, it's really good.
Mhm.
If you hit 3, holy crap.
Let's talk about the Cabal.
Implosion.
Oh, implode.
Oh,
Implosion
gross.
into the
As long as you're not-
You mean Twoplosion into Crystal Weaver. Yeah.
It'll make you feel better about your two-plosion, though.
That's true. When I Twoplosion and then I have 2 2/2s instead of 2 1/1s.
And then anything past the two-plosion, you just feel gross.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm down. See, this I think is a wild card, honestly.
Yep.
Like this card goes in wild decks more like better than it goes into anywhere else because you still have Mal'Ganis and still have Void Callers. So.
Cabal Trafficker is next, and I just have to say, seriously, the ladies of Gadgetzan have the coolest art. This costume, the hair, everything is awesome about Cabal Trafficker from an art standpoint. I can't wait to see someone cosplaying this, and they just have their cape, but then they open it up, and there's all these red potions hanging out of it. That's sweet. It's badass. Okay, now let's talk about the actual card. It's a 6-mana epic 6/6 for Warlocks, and at the end of your turn, add a random demon to your hand.
I mean, 6-mana 6/6 draw a card is pretty good. The issue with it is some of the demons you aren't going to want, right? Like you may not want an unlicensed apothecary, which we're about to talk about next. You may really want that. You may end up with a succubus or something like that, and you don't want to discard anything in your hand. So, like some of the demons definitely have these drawbacks. But most of the demons are pretty good and okay, and you'll be happy to have them. And you're probably only playing this in a deck that has some demon synergies built into it.
Right.
So in that case, it doesn't really matter what the demon is. You have ways to make it work, right?
Yeah,
so,
Crystal Weaver and Cabal Trafficker, they hang out on the weekends.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'll play this. I'll play Krul the Unshackled. If I get a demon if I get like a Doom Guard, I'll wait until I play Krul the Unshackled, and then I'll play the Doom Guard for free, right? So... I don't know. I think it's totally fine. I think it's Reno Demon Lock. Like, that's the deck right there. You can just see it. It's built for that deck, tailor-made for that deck.
Yeah.
And it'll be cool.
Unlicensed Apothecary is next, and definitely unlicensed. I wouldn't trust this guy. It's a 3-mana epic 5/5 demon that reads, whenever you summon a minion, deal 5 damage to your hero. I mean, it's in your control if he deals 5 damage to you, but that hurts.
Yeah. He looks like he's trying to help, though. I mean, he's holding out the potion like, here.
He also has horns, and he's an imp, and the potion looks evil.
So you pay 3 health to play a 3/2 on 1, right? And then that's like pretty sweet, overstated. But you only ever pay that 3 health, right? This guy could potentially cost you 5, 10, 15 health. And if you don't have a way to replenish that, he better be doing stuff, like amazing stuff. And
so is he a Reno guy then? Like, or
I mean, if anywhere, that's kind of, but the other thing too is you could say like super aggressive demon zoo type thing. The problem is it says summon and not play. So that means, let's say you have an imp gang boss on the board and people damage it. Every time it summons a 1/1, you're taking 5 damage. So it definitely takes away. You can't play like possessed villagers with this guy on board. You can't. There's a lot of things you can't do because you're just going to take too much damage. But if you think about, if I play it on turn 3, and then I make a solid trade, and then on turn 4 I play like 1 strong minion on 4, and then I kill 1 more, or like I trade with something on turn 4, I play 1 strong minion on turn 5, I finish something off and it's gone, and then forevermore I'm playing whatever, and I've got this board advantage now. And yes, I paid the 5 health on turn 4, but I got a 2-for-1 at that point. Then if that's the scenario that plays out, it's totally worth the 5 health, right? Like totally worth it. But will that scenario always be how it plays out? That's the question. Like it might be, there's a card. What's the card? The Pit Lord. People tried the Pit Lord. The 4-mana 5/6 that dealt 5 damage to your face right when you played it. Mm-hmm. And it didn't end up sticking around for too long because the 5 health was just too much, against, say, like a freeze mage or an aggressive deck. You're just helping them get to where they want to get to, and your 5/6 is only 1 minion. It can only do so much, right? So in the end, that didn't stick around. I get the feeling this will kind of go down that same path. People will try it and then realize, oh God, I'm getting shot in the face by hunters. I can't afford this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I find often I can't even play, say, 2 flame imps because that's just too big of a price. So
yeah,
I mean,
it sucks when you top deck it, right? Late in the game and you can't afford the health, and then it's just a dead card. So yeah.
So
but
that 5 seems too much. 5 seems too much.
That being said, a 3-mana 5/5 is real cool.
Doesn't it in
a lot of stats?
In a little bit, doesn't it kind of remind you of Ventrico Merc though? Because you typically don't really play anything after that's out, and it's like if you get this out on 3 and you don't play any minions after it, they still have to deal with it. This is still a 5/5 on 3. It's just that it hamstrings you in such a way, right? Like if you don't draw it early, like if you don't get this out on 3, this is a really bad card.
No, I think that comparison is fairly apt. I mean, you're paying a different kind of penalty. You're paying, for tempo instead of life. Mm-hmm. So this one doesn't ever cost you tempo, but AP Drop. I was watching him a little bit last night, and he made the comparison that the Magic the Gathering version of Zoo that Rain had kind of directly pulled from that idea, because that was a very popular Magic deck for a long time. That deck would play a lot of pain lands and dual lands, like they call them pain lands or like shock lands, I think, or something like that. But essentially, like they're mana that costs you health, but it gives you this big advantage because it allows you to play multiple things and gives you multiple colors of mana. So a lot of times you did a ton of damage to yourself, but in exchange you played really aggressive minions. So this is kind of along those lines. However, if that penalty was like 4 or 3, then I think this card is really good. But at 5, it's just like, oh, dude, I'm taking, a sixth of my health every time I want to play a minion while this is alive. Like, it better be hitting face,
Plus, like, Magic is a little bit different too, because you actually have, this is a Magic fact that I know, you can actually use your minions to block, right? So you don't have that option here. Like, you might be taking all that damage to your face, but then if they choose to just continue attacking your face, there's nothing you can do about it. So I think that strategy...
And a 5/5 would regenerate back to a 5/5 after blocking a smaller minion. So even more,
yeah, so I feel like that strategy is a little bit more viable in Magic than it is in Hearthstone, because you have the option of choosing where the damage goes, so you can protect your face way better than in Magic than you can in Hearthstone. So
absolutely, yeah.
All
Maybe
right,
you could play the Silence the Demon card. Wasn't there a 4-mana Silence the Demon card or something like that? You just play this, and then on turn 4 you silence it, and you're like, "What's up?"
Deal with it.
I was just thinking, are there enough Warlock spells to make this viable to be like one of the only minions that you potentially play in a spell-based Warlock?
If you Shadow Flame this on turn 4, you probably kill their entire board. If you Hellfire on turn 4, you probably kill whatever. And then you didn't pay the penalty. But I don't know. We're really reaching. We're talking about all these scenarios where it would be good, and it's like, if that's how the card is, if you have to continue, if you keep finding a path that would make it work, then in general, that path is not going to be available to you in a game. So it's probably not as good as you think.
Exactly, which is why we should talk about Krul the Unshackled, the 9-mana legendary 7/9 demon for Warlocks with a battle cry that reads, if your deck has no duplicates, it should just say Reno, summon all demons from your hand.
So good.
Yeah, seems cool. But I'll say this, it's definitely not like, you can't compare this to like N'Zoth. Like if it brought back all the demons from the dead that had died this game, oh man, that would be super good. But the fact that you have to have them in your hand and then it plays them out, and then let's say the opponent wipes your board, that really sucks. Like you invested a lot and then, got wrecked. So this is a card that's like, it's kind of all in. You play this card and you're like, all right, I either win now or you wreck me. And so that's a little scary. That being said, I'm definitely going to play this deck.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, this goes in Reno Lock for sure, and it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, and it's 9 mana, so chances are you've baited out a lot of the big AoEs at this point.
You'll have to be careful playing this. Like that's what you need to do, right? Like make sure they brawled twice. But the problem with that though is like sometimes you're going to want to play the demons out of your hand, but you're going to be thinking, I could play them all for free with this. But I want to play this demon right now because I need to do something this turn. And so it's going to put you in some weird scenarios, right?
Just play it in Wild and then get a free Mal'Ganis and then laugh.
All right. I like where Joss is at. I'm just...
No, I mean, it's going to be awesome. I don't think this is... it's like a card. You look at a card with a really powerful effect, and a lot of times you think like, oh my God, that's so broken. But you have to really think about like, how it actually plays out. It's really cool, and it's going to do some cool things. But it's not going to be. This is not like an oppressive card at all.
Yeah,
I'll put it totally fair card.
My closing statement on Krul: I'm not going to run to go craft him, but if I craft one, I'm going to be very excited to go try him again in Demon Wild decks.
Yeah, so. He's not like he doesn't create a tier 1 deck, I don't think, but he definitely creates a super fun deck to play, and he's a big part of that deck and a big tool in that deck. So, but it would be cool to have like a N'Zoth style bring back all demons that died this game, because then like you could just kind of play your demons out, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, haha, they're back, and that would be pretty cool. So.
Yeah. Well, let's move on and talk about the hunter, mage, and priest cards that we haven't discussed yet, of which there are quite a few. Starting with hunter, and you know what, Joss, tell me about the Alleycat.
All right, so the Alleycat is a 1-mana common beast. It's a 1/1, and its battle cry says summon a 1/1 adorable cat. It doesn't actually say adorable, but if you guys have seen this token, like I am crafting this gold, like as soon as I open all my packs. I can't wait. It's so cute. I'm actually sad that Garrett didn't actually put the tabby cat onto the overlay.
Because I couldn't find it until now, but there it is.
Oh, yay!
Also, by the way, it's not a cat. It's a tabby cat. So why does it say summon a 1/1 tabby cat? God, Hearthstone, you're so inconsistent.
But it's so cute, and I bet the gold version has like big blinky eyes, and it's the tiny fin of this expansion, guys. Like 10 out of 10. How can you not love this card?
I just really like the Fang bling.
Yes.
A lot. Oh, also, I'm just now noticing you can see the tabby cat in the background of the Alleycat's art.
Yes, you can.
Yep. It's coming right back there.
Almost looks angry, like, "Hey, Alleycat, why do you get center stage? Let me out, man."
The other thing about this card, though, is it's really good.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's 2/1/1 beasts on turn 1.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really good. So get out there and put this thing in your deck. I think I don't even know if you still are going to play Fiery Bats. I think you just play this instead of Fiery Bat, right? Because it's better to have 2/1/1s than a 2/1.
Yep.
Even though you get that one little extra damage.
Sticky minions, man, just they're so good in Hearthstone. Sticky
It's
minions.
a battle cry too. It's not even it's not a death rattle.
It's not
like
a
you
death
look at this
rattle, yeah.
and then immediately you think, oh, 1/1 that summons a 1/1. That's got to be a death rattle, right?
Nope.
Like, no. Immediately.
Just get 'em right away.
Piece.
Just
That's
get them
dope.
right away. And who?
Well, I mean, it's on par with like Living Roots turn 1. It's on par with like Possessed Villager, like except Possessed Villager is the death rattle, but
it's better for than Living Roots for Hunter because they're both beasts, right?
Yes.
So it allows you to then like play these. Probably one will live, Houndmaster one, or other types of beast synergies. There's now minions that'll buff your beast, so one of these will be like a 3/3, and then it'll summon the 1/1, and then for 1 mana, that's insane. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To the buzzkills in the chat room saying 1/1s aren't sticky. 2/1/1s on 1 are.
Yeah, 2/1/1s on turn 1 are sticky. There's not a lot of whirlwind effects outside of a 1-mana whirlwind that people don't play. That kills both of them.
Or Arcane Blast, which a few mages are running nowadays. But in the grand scheme of things, highly likely they're not going to deal with both of these on their turn.
Yeah, that takes arcane missiles is one way. There's definitely some specific ways to do it, but sure, if that happens, you traded 1-mana cards. Fine.
I like Alleycat,
next turn,
and it's a cat, so internet points. So there we go. Smuggler's Crate is next. This is a 1-mana common spell for hunters that reads: give a random beast in your hand +2/+2.
Seems good. Need to see how it works out in practice.
Need to see if it marks the
believe
beast in your
card.
hand.
I mean, yeah. You'll have a beast in your hand a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you're hound mastering a beast in your hand before you even play it. 1 mana 2/2 is good. But the problem that I have with it is like you're doing nothing when you play it. So you need to, but you'll be able to like, since it's 1 mana, you'll be able to fit this in a turn where you play it and then you play whatever beast it buffs like right then and there. I think there's a lot of cool uses for this card. Also, let's say you want to play some Lock and Load Hunter. Here you go. Here's another spell to run that's really cheap.
That's
true.
I
some
forgot
cool
Lock and Load was a thing.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff in here. So, my Yogg and Load Hunter will definitely play Smuggler's Crate. It won't run that many beasts, but it'll run a few. And this will hit them. So that'll be cool. Plus, you get when you Lock and Load, you end up getting random Hunter cards, so you're going to fill your hand with beasts at some point.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Mm-hmm. True.
Also, if you run Ball of Spiders in your Yogg and Load, you're going to get some beasts off those web spinners.
That's true. Exactly. Yeah. So I think this card has a lot of potential, but I need to see how it actually goes down before I could say it's like really good or not.
Yeah.
Obviously, 1 mana 2/2 sounds good, but
getting this on a high main sounds gross.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah.
Well, and there's always going to be those times where like if X number of things happen, it's going to be disgusting.
Yeah.
But
I really
all
think
of those things have to line up.
It's Pack Rat that this friggin' thing is crazy with, or Rat Pack, or what is it? Is it Rat Pack or Pack Rat?
I believe it's Rack Pat or Rat Pack.
Rack Pat?
Rat Pack.
Rat Pack.
Rat
Okay, so
Pack.
if you buff Rat Pack comes out as a 4/4, and then when it dies, summons 4 1/1s. That's pretty good. Or what's the 2/4 for 3 or whatever, that 2/4 for 4 that deals damage as a battle cry?
Whatever
There
its
you go.
attack is. Yep.
Smugglers create that thing. You're dealing 4 damage when it comes out. So
Yeah.
there's some really good synergies in Hunter for this card.
And then the last Hunter card we haven't discussed is Hidden Cache, which is a 2-mana rare secret that reads, after your opponent plays a minion, give a random minion in your hand +2/+2.
This card
I don't
is
like
trash.
Yeah, I don't like this card as much just because you can't control when the effect goes off, really. There's a chance people can play around it and then it doesn't go off when you want it. Like you have more control over other things like, say, Freezing Trap.
I'd rather play Snipe. Like when I play a
or-
minion, I want a secret to go up. I want to just kill the minion.
Yeah.
I don't know. If this deck
There's
that
better
buffs all your
choices.
cards is amazing, like this is one more way to do it. But I think this card is trash.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to run a lot of spells in that deck. And then if that's the case, then that's, every one spell you add is one minion you take away. And, that just makes this secret worse and worse and worse, right? So.
Yeah, it's the problem too is most of the secrets give you a more powerful effect than 2 mana is supposed to cost, and this one's giving you exactly like what
the
1 mana
one
card
mana
is
spell
giving you.
costs, yeah.
And
Why
so
wouldn't
what's
you
up with
just
that?
play-
Because my Bear Trap gives me a 3/3 for 2 with taunt. My snakes give me 3 1/1s for 2. My explosive trap gives me a consecrate for 2.
Well,
How is it that this one gives you
the spell
less
that
than
we
2 mana's worth?
literally just talked about is a 1 mana spell that has the same effect. The only caveat is that the 1 mana hits a beast and the Hidden Cache hits a minion, which means, it doesn't have to be
Sure,
a
it
beast.
doesn't have to be a beast.
But
yeah, that's true.
if you're a hunter player, I don't even think, maybe except for Rag, where a buff doesn't really matter, like I'm not actually playing anything that isn't tagged as a beast.
Well,
the
I'm
beasts
playing
are really
Houndmaster.
powerful. Well, yeah,
I'm playing
Houndmasters, I
Houndmasters and I'm
guess,
playing whatever the other new hunter card is.
Even
If you're
then, I
playing
don't think that the
Houndmaster, I think
current-
you're playing a lot of beasts.
Yes, exactly.
Well, yeah. But I mean, this could potentially hit your Houndmaster. But there's another one, Trog Beast Rager, that give a random beast in your hand +1/+1, and Shaky Zip Gunner. Like if you're playing that deck, those two are not beasts. So here's your one way to buff those.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still don't think it's worth it for 2 mana.
No.
Right?
No, I don't think so either. I don't like Hidden Cache at all. So let's move over to Mage, shall we?
Sure.
Cryomancer is next up. This is a 5-mana common 5/5 for mages that has a battle cry that reads, gain +2/+2 if an enemy is frozen.
Okay.
All right. Really cool art, once again. Ladies
Yeah.
of Gadgetzan just killing it with their costumes.
I don't think this card is very good. Like a freeze mage won't play it because they just play burn and freeze. I don't know what deck
Reno Mage?
plays it. What's that?
Is Reno Mage, maybe?
Yeah, but you don't run enough freeze effects. And plus, for 5 mana, you'd probably just rather play
Cabal
other
Stone.
stuff. Yeah, like there's other 5-cost cards that I think are a lot better. Yeah, I mean it's it's not terrible. It's not a trash tier card, but it's not doing something that really matters that much. You know what I mean? Playing like a minion just up to the board that doesn't really do anything doesn't happen that much in Constructed. You will pick this in Arena sometimes just because it's solid 5-mana 5/5, which is not the worst thing ever. And it's a common, so it'll come up. What's cool, though, is the commons they gave Mage are pretty bad and a little bit of a nerf to Mage in Arena. So good on you, Blizzard. Thank you.
Yeah, this is another one of those like kind of fun theme decks I've always wanted to try to make work, like a freeze mage that isn't freeze mage as we know it. That's more like this type of mid-range with some minions where you're actually killing things with your freeze effects as opposed to just kind of delaying until you can burn with spells.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Well, there's the aggro freeze mage thing that just plays ice blocks and then a bunch of burn spells and stuff and cold light oracles.
remind me, I cannot remember the name of the card for the life of me. What is the priest card? It's a minion that gets buffed. I think it was a TGT card.
It's buffed when what?
When a heal happens.
Oh, the light something. Yeah. The 4-mana 3/5 gets +2 when any character gets healed.
Yeah. I, for whatever reason, the name of that is completely eluding me, and I'm sure
Well,
chat
they kind of left the meta, but yeah.
Yeah, I barely ever really joined it, to be completely honest. And I'm not thinking about Light Warden. I'm thinking about
Holy Champion.
Holy Champion, that one. Okay, Holy Champion was a card that got me really excited for Priest, because I love this idea of just minions that just get buffed when you do the thing that your class should be doing.
Already doing.
And that's what Cryomancer kind of reminds me of. Holy Champion made me really excited because that's the kind of Priest deck I've always wanted, where it's just very kind of simple, straightforward minion buffing based off of doing stuff that Priest should be doing. And I've always kind of wanted that for mages with the frozen affix, because I don't want to play this just delay tactic for freeze mage. I've always kind of wanted this fun themed, like I'm a freeze mage and here's my army of other freeze mages that like freezing things.
Sure.
So that's why I like.
I mean,
Cryomancer,
there is like I said that aggro freeze mage deck. It plays a lot of like little minions like mana worms and loot hoarders and stuff like that, and it hopes to get maybe 5 to 10 damage out of its minions early in the early game, and if it does, then it has enough burn to finish you off, right? And it runs things like Frost Nova and Frost Bolts and Ice Lances and stuff. So I could see a world where, on like turn 8 you Frost Nova their board and play a 7/7, and then on turn 9 you smash face for 7 damage and then burn them out with spells. There is something there maybe, but that's probably the only real deck that can utilize this. Like Holy Champ, Priest was naturally going to heal anyway, and plus it comes out on turn 4. It just has a 3/5 and is fine, Like you can just play it and then do the healing after.
Yeah.
This, you unfortunately have to do the freezing before you do the other stuff,
yeah,
right?
No, I agree.
If it was a persistent effect like Holy Champion, that would be super dope, right?
Like 2/2
like
every
game
time
+2
something
+2
was...
every time you freeze a minion. Yeah. That would be
Then you could
crazy.
Frost Nova a board and get like 8/8 in stats or something. Yeah.
I would definitely see play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in the future, if Mage gets more like Discover Minion cards, this could potentially be cool because of cards like Freezing Potion, which we'll talk about next, because they're already discovering spells like crazy. So you might get into these situations where, because of what spell you discovered, if Mage gets more Minion Discover, that you're picking Cryomancer, which I like that, because that is a thing in Hearthstone. It doesn't sound like that's going away anytime soon. So I like these type of cards, but as far as something that I'm going to put in my deck on purpose, that's going to be 2 of my 30 slots, I don't think so.
So part-time rocket scientist in chat mentions that it's on curve after Water Elemental, which is, I think, a point that only really matters in Arena. I know, like, yes, you could say I play my freeze everything deck and then I play Water Elementals into this, but that deck I don't think will do as well as and constructed as, say, Tempo Mage or Freeze Mage or some of the other versions of Mage that I think are going to come out here, the Reno Mage being one. But in Arena, you can draft a lot of Water Elementals. So if I've drafted 3 or 4.
You're going to have a lot of Cryomancers available too, because
exactly.
it's a common.
So if you end up with a few Water Elementals, this card suddenly jumps up, as far as its worth in Arena. So absolutely, that's a fair point. Much harder to kill in Arena too, because less people are running like fireballs and whatever stuff that just kills it. So yeah, definitely that's a thing to consider for sure.
I like, yeah. There's cool reasons for this card to be around, even if though it's not super exciting from a constructed standpoint.
Exactly. Yeah.
Freezing Potion is next. A 0 mana common spell for mages, which just reads freeze an enemy.
Well, 0 cost freeze an enemy. Power creep over the spare part, right?
Yep.
Yes. Spare part power creep. That's hilarious. I didn't think about that.
Plus, you can just put it in your deck. So it's funny because this card
it takes a deck slot that way, which
This
obviously
card
the
is
spare
pretty
parts
trashy.
don't.
But you can get it off of Babbling Books. You can get it off of Kabbalah's Tomes. And if you do, you'll find use for it. Freezing a minion does matter. It is an effect that matters. And I think it was a Dwakta and Merps talking about Arena. They made the point that there's the Frost Elemental of the card, which is a 6 mana 5/5 that freezes a minion when it comes out, right? A 6 mana 5/5 means you're essentially paying like 2 mana, 1.5 mana for the freeze effect, if you're talking about just in stats. So here you're getting it for 0, right? So
seems good.
Like that effect is apparently to Blizzard worth about 1 to 1.5, 2 mana. So now you get to do it for free. And a lot of times in Arena, Frost Nova actually only hits maybe 1 or 2 minions, and that costs 3 mana. Because, in arena, you're trying to manage like if the other guy has like 7 minions on board, you probably lost the game. You don't have a lot of ways to deal with that many minions most of the time. But to freeze 1 minion could be very impactful. So there will be times this will do a lot of work in arena. As far as constructed goes, you really only see it when someone gets it off a babbling book in Kabbalah's tome. But
so do you, since it is a common spell and it's kind of powerful but not necessarily something you would want to put in your deck, is this a way for them to kind of water down Mage's common slot?
I believe it is. I really do think
agreed.
that they made a conscious effort with this set to bring a Mage Arena back in line a little bit. And with all 3 of the common cards, we're seeing that. Because the other one that they got was Cabal Lackey, the 1 mana 2/1. Next secret you play is 0. And that card is actually terrible in Arena. So it's great. No Firelands Portal this time around, No disgusting Mage card this time around. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, final mage card, Greater Arcane Missiles. This is a 7-mana epic spell, and it should be because it shoots 3 missiles at random enemies and deals 3 damage each.
And
So 9 damage for 7.
And when you have spell power, it is still 3 missiles, but
they do
you
4.
do 4 damage per missile. Yeah, so.
You can tell this because I know some people were confused. You can tell this because it says shoot 3 and they spell the word 3 out, and then they put the actual
Number 3?
number 3 here, and so that's the number that would change then when spell power is added. Because if you notice, when you get spell damage added on, it changes the actual numerator. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but although strange thing to keep an eye on.
Well, and the thing is, like, it doesn't. Well, I guess arcane missiles, which the reason why this is confusing is because arcane missiles, you actually get an extra missile, but that's because the wording on arcane missiles is deal 3 damage randomly split among enemies. So what you're buffing is not like technically it's number of missiles, but really it's the damage that you're dealing. So that's why you get the extra missile. But if you look at arcane missiles, it actually does have like the numeric
It
3
says 3,
in the card
it's
description.
the digit.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
The
So-
fact that it's the digit is the big deal.
the buff.
Yeah, and that's why you're not hearing me go off on my bar inconsistency tirade, because I think this is actually really clever because it is written differently. It's a clever way to decide which aspect of the spell you want to get buffed by things like spell power.
Yeah, like they could do this with anything from here on out, right? Like this kind of opens up this effect to exist more in more places, right? Do X amount of 2 damage things, do X amount of 4 damage things. You can get away with that because in the past, I think we've only ever had do X amount of 1 damage things, right? How many times have we had do X amount of 2 damage things before? Like there's Spreading Madness is a bunch of 1 damage things. There's
Cthulhu is
missiles,
1 damage.
there's
Avenging Wrath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of things that do, obviously there's the mage or the rogue guy who deals 2 damage to a bunch of things, but that's not spell based.
Dark Iron Skulker.
Dark
Yeah.
Iron Skulker. Yes, thank you.
This opens up the doors to future cards like Swole Waker, where it will ping multiple things, but each ping will do 2 damage.
Sure. The Swole Waker. Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm trying to
man.
think if there is one because we were wrong the other day about attack and kill. Boogie Monster does that, and so does something else. Sandworm. Like I thought that was the first time we'd actually seen that, but we had actually seen it a couple times.
Just not on cards we play a lot
Just
of.
never played it, yeah.
Yeah, they just weren't. Yeah, there's a
Yeah, they
reason
just weren't
why I
good
didn't
cards,
remember
yeah.
those cards.
Yeah,
exactly.
Boogie Monster's just
But of course, trust me, the people never let me forget. If I say something that is wrong, I'll hear about it.
We all will, Dills.
Yep.
All right, let's move. Let's talk about the 2 priest cards that weren't out when we talked about Cabal. The Greater Healing Potion is first up. It's a 4-mana rare spell that reads Restore 12 health to a friendly character.
Character, not minion. So
Heal your face, heal your
heal
minions,
your face. Yep.
but you cannot.
don't remove.
Hawkeye shoot them in the face for 12. This only is for friendly minions.
Yeah.
Pretty important.
Yes, yes,
Pretty
yes,
important.
it is. It disappoints me, but that would be absurd.
Yeah.
Just silly. There would be with Embrace the Shadows. That'd be a high damage combo.
Yeah, that'd be what, 12 damage for 6 mana? Is that 2 mana spell? Embrace the Shadows?
It is. I don't play with
I
it.
think
It
it's
is 2
2.
damage.
Yeah,
right?
I don't play it either, but I think it's 2.
But yeah, Yeah,
It's a lot of healing, dude. It's a lot of healing for 4. You can heal for 7 to 14 for 3 in Shaman, right? But you have to win a joust. You can heal for 6 for 2 in Paladin. You can heal for 20 for 10 in Paladin too, with Forbidden Healing. I mean, there's a lot of healing for you're tripling your mana in, as far as healing is concerned. So
and in emergency scenarios, it's one more way to kill your own Sylvanas.
I mean, so yeah, the thing is, there's no way they could print this card and have it be any character, because this would be insane. You take Flash Shield, you take this, you just enable so many disgusting priest OTKs. But in this form, it's great because one thing you always heard was, man, how come Paladin can heal better than priest? It's like, you know what? Suck it, Paladin. You cannot anymore. Now priest can heal much better. So I think, if there's the new kind of archetype we're going to see, which is the Highlander Reno priest, because they have the card that gives them free hero powers and stuff like that. So you could play this in that deck because it's nice to have more healing effects, right? If you're trying to go late game.
And if you throw Velen in there too, then that's like 24 healing for 4. Yeah.
You can't play them in the same turn unless you get some Thaurissan ticks or coin. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's pretty insane. So it's pretty good. Yeah, someone's saying in chat, Paladin can still heal for 20, but it costs them all of their mana.
It costs them 10
mana.
Yeah.
This is 12 for 4. Like for 4, if you play that for 4 mana, you only get 8. So this is better. This is better.
Yes. And if you want 24 for 2 of these, it's only 8 mana.
Exactly. So I mean, I think this is a great card as a one of in that deck. I don't know if it goes into just standard priest control decks, but I mean, priest control wants to take it to the late game, so
the option is there now. At least the option is there for even more throughput on your healing, which I like. Let's talk about the Cabal Songstealer, a 5-mana common 5/5 for priests that has a battle cry that reads "Silence a Minion."
I like whether the card's powerful or not. I like the fact that priest is getting the ability where we see some other classes kind of being reined back and their silences being very specific. Priest still has the just overall silence effect. So I like that now priest is getting some boost to their healing, but also some boost to their silences, which is very priesty. So I like the fact that this is just straight up silence a minion. I think this is great.
Yeah, it's a really good arena card too. So it helps priest in arena. 5-mana 5/5 with an effect that's actually very strong in arena. And it's a common slot, so it's great. This is good. I don't know if this sees a lot of constructed play, but it might enable that Purify list that Blizzard talked about was going around. It might be one more tool that deck needed to, like, maybe Purify is less trash tier now because there's one more silence effect tied to a minion. So yeah, good card. It's a good card.
And I mean, like any of the other, I guess they're neutral silence cards, but like if you think of Owl or you think of the Blood Elf guy, remember.
Spellbreaker. This outpaces both of those.
Yeah, yes. Because it has good stats for 5 mana. Like it's a 5/5. It doesn't lose health. You're not paying for it at all. Yeah.
And anything that you're paying 1 health essentially. Yeah. Right, because a 5/6 is your vanilla version of a 5-drop. So
yeah, because of the cost of silence in any other class, silence is now in the place of, I think, a premium effect as far as Team 5 is concerned. So Cabal Songstealer, it's a solid vanilla minion that has silence added onto it. It's just a good card.
Yep.
So awesome. Let's move into the neutrals as we round the final corner, starting with commons and rares. And first up is Daring Reporter. This is a 4-mana common minion that has 3 attack, 3 health, and whenever your opponent draws a card, gains +1/+1.
Yeah. Nope. Moving on. It's a 4-mana 4/4 to be fair when you play it, because your opponent will definitely draw at least 1 card.
It's okay in arena.
Yeah, and that's not and it grows, so they have to deal with it before it grows. But the problem, like I know a lot of people are going to be like, but my mill deck, I play Cold Light Oracle. But if you play Cold Light Oracle in your mill deck, you don't necessarily just want effects that build your dudes up. You're dealing damage by milling them at the end of the game. You're not dealing damage with minions during the game. So that's why, like, Clockwork Giant never got big. Goblin Sapper, I think it was called, the one that had like +4 attack when the opponent had more than 6 cards. That never saw play. There's not enough tools yet for a deck where you just try to fill the other guy's hand, not necessarily mill them out and kill them that way. It's just like a hand-filling deck to buff your own guys. If there was like 12 cards that did something like this, then maybe you could say I have really strong minion base based on this effect. But we don't really have that, and there's too much of a drawback to just filling your opponent's hand without some sort of end game, right? Which is to actually mill them with some sort of Brand, Cold Light, Violet Illusionist combo. So it doesn't really work in the deck that it would work in, right? Which means it probably doesn't work anywhere.
Yeah. Well, let's just move on then and talk about the friendly bartender, who just looks so friendly, even though he's a giant cow man. It's a 2-mana common minion. It has 2 attack, 3 health, and at the end of your turn, restore 1 health to your hero.
It's fine. I think you'll see it as a 2-drop in Arena. It'll get picked. I don't think there's any constructed deck that wants this effect.
No, unless you're playing budget or free-to-play accounts, stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't like the health always goes to your hero. Like if this was at the end of your turn, deal or restore 1 health to a friendly damaged character, I think you might see something there. Because that effect has always been on, what is it, Lightwell, things that obviously in Ragnaros, the Light Lord, but that's a little bit different because it's an 8/8 body. But that effect has always been tied to kind of like a little bit of a weaker card, and this as a 2-mana 2/3 that might be okay, but just healing your hero only is not quite as good. So,
yeah. Jocelyn, any thoughts on the friendly bartender?
No, sorry, I was just looking up, seeing if there was any news yet on the pack opening bug. So.
Oh, I appreciate you doing that because I know
hoping that we are waiting just long enough.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping.
I mean, it should be a high priority bug, right?
I know, and everyone in chat keeps asking, like, any news? So I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm going to tweet them. So sorry, I was not paying attention for that last card. I'm sorry.
No worries.
I was doing very important fact-finding things.
I just didn't want to seem like I'm just moving on. Like Josh's opinion doesn't matter. On to the Gadgetzan socialite.
No. Move on to the socialite.
Fantastic.
Who I am very upset I didn't get to cosplay today. I didn't realize Garrett was dressing up, and I would have done exactly this.
So you have a boa laying around, is what you're telling me?
Don't you?
I don't, sadly. Well, I don't know, actually. Katie, do we have a boa laying around? No? Okay, cool. Gadgetzan Socialite is a 2-mana common minion that has 2 attack, 2 health, and a battle cry that reads Restore 2 health. So I guess the Socialite hangs out with the bartender because these very balanced minions in the common slot for neutrals that are healing you. Yeah, great art, okay card.
No.
Nothing fancy here, really, other than her outfit.
This card is bad, too. The 3-mana 3/3 that heals for 3 is totally usable in certain aspects, but 2-mana 2/2. On turn 2, you need to be doing something a little more impactful. Turn 3, you can get away with the 3/3 a lot of times.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't think this card will ever see play. You might pick it in Arena because you have no other choice. It's against terrible cards, but...
Yep. Red Mana Wyrm is next. This is the 5-mana common 2/6 that reads, whenever you cast a spell, gain +2 attack.
Mana Worms for everyone!
Yep. You get a Mana Wyrm, but you can't use it till turn 5.
Yeah. So it if you read the flavor text, it's kind of funny because it's like double the attack, double the health, 5 times the cost, like double the effect or whatever.
Yeah, but can you imagine a 2/6 and all they did was make it 2 mana to double the cost too?
There's no way there's no way you double everything.
That doesn't check out.
But if this card was like a 2/4 for 3 or something like that,
like
or a 2/4 for 4 that had this effect, yeah. Because it enables more like combo effect with this. But think of like Mana Addict, right? Mana Addict was a card that sometimes was used in Rogue OTK-ish type. Like you can seal it and then you go off with it the next turn. That's where this card probably goes, if anywhere, is a Rogue with Conceal. But I actually think you still just want the quest dude, right?
Questing Adventure?
Yeah, Questing Adventure. Yeah, sorry.
Quest dude.
The quest dude, you know what I'm talking about. I think you still just want that guy over this because that guy grows with cards and spells, and this guy has only spells, and so it's it grows fast. I mean, you can play it, conceal it. It's already a 4/6. The next turn you go off and hit him for like 16. You know, that could happen. People will try this.
Yeah, I'm not sure they'll be extremely successful with it, but
No, you know this would have been really good in though back in the day is old school Warsong Commander, right? You would play this like and then cast a whole bunch of whirlwindy type spells, buffing frothing berserkers and red mana worms. After you made them both cheaper, you know, I don't know. But yeah, in today's world with no charge OTK stuff.
back in my Hearthstone day.
Yeah.
Well,
You got to
maybe-
conceal it. That's, I think, the only way you can really make this go off.
Well, yeah, and I mean, maybe that's the reason why this is the first time we're seeing something like Red Mana Worm that is neutral, and you know, so that it can't actually be run in a deck like that because they nerfed everything all to hell. So.
Yep. All right, Street Trickster's next. This is a 3-mana common demon that has no attack, 7 health, and reads spell damage +1.
I mean, it's hard to kill. It's a 0/7. Yeah, I don't know why this isn't a 2-mana 0/7 though. I feel like that would be okay. 2-mana 0/7 spell damage.
Well, the other 0/7s that we have are 2 mana, so.
And they
Maybe
get, and they
because
have an
it's
effect.
neutral?
Doomsayer has an effect.
Yeah.
Taunt isn't, I think, an effect
Is
that
an
you
effect,
can
yeah.
compare essentially to spell damage as far as its cost is concerned. So it's weird. I mean, I guess it's also a demon, so there's that effect. But
Yeah, I
don't
think it's
think you want
probably.
this ever.
Yeah, because of the spell and this is actually the first neutral demon that we have, right? In Hearthstone.
Illidan.
Oh, Illidan. Right.
Illidan
Oh,
is
right.
the only
Is
other
he
one.
a demon himself?
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
He's
I thought he was
has
the
the
first
demon
one ever.
the demon moniker.
Yeah.
He's the first like non-legendary, like you can
Yeah.
put 2 of these, but it's kind of like a nerf to the 5-mana deal 2 damage, summon a random demon
Bane of
thing.
Doom?
Yeah, Bane of Doom. It's kind of a nerf to the 6, like even before it got printed, the 6-mana 6/6 summon or draw a random demon. It's
Not the worst thing in the world in your wild demon deck if it comes
Yeah.
out before like a implosion or something.
yeah, you'll probably find some sort of use for him, or
That's
if you
okay.
buff him to a 1/8,
So, question. The reason, and I'm totally blanking on, I don't know why I can come up with card names that you're talking about, Dills, but I can't remember the cards that I want to talk about. But the card in Mage, the 3/2 with the spell damage that also buffs your Cthulhu, but mages never play Cthulhu because spell damage is just so powerful.
Cult something.
Sorcerer?
Cult sorcerer, yep.
Would you play this instead because it's going to stick around a lot longer?
No. The 3/2 is way more impactful. 3/2 is actually a threat. 3/2 hits your face for 3. You could maybe say that because like Evolved Kobold is now seeing play in Freeze Mage.
Mm-hmm.
You could maybe say that a Freeze Mage wants this effect for just spell power that lives because that's a 4-mana 2/2. But they want that because of the 2 spell damage, so then they can combo it with a whole bunch of spells after Thoris on. So, yeah, it's 3/2 is just way better. It's just
Yeah.
Fair enough. I was just thinking.
No,
spell
yeah,
damage.
absolutely. I mean,
where
yeah,
are people playing spell damage?
I don't think there's any deck that really utilizes this. Like just the 0 attack is just too weak, So
Yeah. All right. Apparently, I forgot to drop in the Streetwise investigator, so I'm just going to pull that in right now and shove it on top of Streetwise trickster because who cares? There's just Street Trickster. The investigator is a 5-mana common 4/6 that has a battle cry that reads enemy minions lose stealth. There's no sideboarding in Hearthstone. This is a bad card.
yeah, this effect doesn't happen often enough in enough decks that you really need it. However, it's a fine arena card. 5-mana 4/6 is fine. In non-weapon classes, we were drafting 5-mana 4/6 and rage when buff your weapon when it's damaged. People were still playing that in like Mage, so
Yeah.
you'll pick this as a 5-mana 4/6, and it has some upside. Or if the opponent plays a tiger, maybe you can.
Well, yeah,
unstealth
this
and
is
kill
this
it,
is
so.
what I was talking about with the whole like targeted silence. Like this is specifically basically silent stealth minions, right? So it's
Sure.
this
Not
is
if they
again
have
why
another
I
effect
love
on top
that
of the
Priest is
stealth.
just getting blanket silence effects because it's just so core to now what their class identity is, like healing and silence Priest. Like it's very obvious that that's the class identity for Priest. So I love that even though there are more silence-y type cards in the neutral set, at least they're targeted. I love it.
I guess maybe Blizzard thought friggin' Stealth Rager was going to be like so good that they had to put it. They're like, man, this Stealth Rogue deck, man, we better put in a count for this thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, it makes sense. You put in an effect like that, and then you put in a counter.
Mm-hmm.
And one day, if there is sideboarding in a tournament, you might throw this in there.
Yeah. Let's talk about Bomb Squad as we move into, well, the only neutral rare we're going to talk about today. It's a 5-mana 2/2 with a battle cry that reads, deal 5 damage to an enemy minion, and a death rattle that reads, deal 5 damage to your hero.
So there's a few scenarios for this card. This card looks pretty bad, right? But, okay.
I think she looks fun.
Kill a Sylvanas. Sylvanas steals your Bomb Squad, right? Then they have a 2-mana or a 2/2 that death rattles and deals damage to them. Pretty dope. So there's like one cool scenario. I mean, Sylvanas is out there.
Sylvanas is everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Sylvanas is out there. So that's awesome. That's like, maybe it's worth it you just hold it and wait for Sylvanas, right? And if not, at least it's still like a targeted 5. You could target a minion. It's not random, right? So you can pick a minion and do it. The other thing is evolve decks, right? You play 5 mana, deal 5 damage to something. You kill something, it leaves behind this 2/2, but it's 5 mana, so you evolve it into a 6 mana card. So I think you definitely play like this and Moat Lurker and all that kind of weird stuff in evolve Shaman deck, and have a lot of fun there too. So. And people are saying purify it. Sure. I guess.
If you really want to.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, empty board Sylvanas, boom, what's up? You know?
Yeah.
Really good, and I agree with the chat room. Purify target.
Yeah. But the purify, but purify targets, we want to do, like, we want to turn them from 1/1s into 12/12s or whatever, right? Like, that's ideally what we're doing, or like 7/7s that can't attack into 7/7s that can attack, right? That's usually what you're trying to do. However, this might totally be a thing that fits there.
But if you're going out of your way
to remove,
if you're going out of your way to make a purify deck, this isn't a bad inclusion because it's removal, and then you know if you haven't,
it's a tool.
Yeah, exactly. So
yep.
Well, let's bring up the final slide, which are neutral epics and legendaries, starting with Blubber Baron. Which is just fun to say. There's a 3-mana epic 1/1 that reads, whenever you summon a Battlecry minion while this is in your hand, gain +1/+1. So unique card.
Tiny Bolvar.
Yeah.
Which never really saw play. So yeah.
Well, because you have to get it into your hand really, really early, right?
Draw it.
But then you don't want to play it early. You want to hold on to it for a while so it gets buffed. So, you know, like it's one of those things that you want to keep in your opening hand, but then you don't want to play it for so long, so it's like a dead card. And then, so yeah, and you
have to play a bunch of Battlecry minions.
Yeah.
So you also have to build a deck that's full of Battlecry minions, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But maybe there's that Battlecry Shaman card, right, where every time you play a Battlecry, you deal 2 damage, like you knife juggle for 2. Maybe the Blubber Baron is like another piece to that puzzle starting to come together and be a thing, but probably not.
It just, like, where it starts as a 1/1, you have to get at least 2 ticks on it just to make it a 3/3 for 3. So it's going to take
you gotta
a
get
long
it to
time.
at least 4, I think, before it's like a good card, right? And then
so, and that means you have to have it in your hand for 3 battle cries, which is just too many stacking conditions to make this actually playable.
I'm going to try it in Wild with Muster for Battle.
So Shwali in chat is saying Dragon Priest. Dragon Priest does not have room for this, dude. Dragon Priest has to put on all the dragons and all the dragon synergy
and all the dragon cards.
There ain't no room for 3-mana 1/1.
No, I agree. So let's move on to our other fun to say B card, Burgley Bully. This is
the
a
Burgley Bully.
5-mana epic 4/6 that reads, whenever your opponent casts a spell, add a coin to your hand.
If you play a rogue and you want coins, cool. But I don't think you have room for this.
No, it's 4/6 for 5. Yeah, its effect is good, but it's just too balanced. I guess too balanced is what I would say for this card.
Yeah, it's balanced. Yeah, like its effect is not terrible. Like in Arena, this will go up against terrible epics sometimes, and you'll pick it, and they'll have to cast a spell to get rid of it, and you'll get a coin. Coin's not that great in any other class, but Rogue, unfortunately, because it does so much more in Rogue. Mm-hmm. So maybe Flame Wakers with mages and stuff could do some cool stuff, but don't think we'll be seeing this in Constructed.
But it's a Trog, and it's carrying on the long tradition of Trogs making you not want to cast spells. So
yeah, that's true.
At least it's carrying that on. Fight Promoter
Anti-spell check.
is next. This is a 6-mana epic 4/4 with a battle cry that reads, if you control a minion with 6 or more health, draw 2 cards.
So there's one weird thing about this card, and that is the fact that apparently this card will draw if it itself is buffed. And that goes against the way battle cries work in Hearthstone, and that bothers me.
Yeah.
Really? Okay, news to me.
Because the battle cry should technically hit before the body hits the board, right? This has been, and I understand. Okay, people are going to send in, oh, it works like this, Dills. It works like this. But if you don't have any other minion on the board, and then you play this, it shouldn't trigger on itself. I don't think, for consistency's sake.
I hate inconsistency so much, and I'm also bothered that it bothers me as much as it does.
I mean, it's dumb. It didn't work that way.
It's just annoying, and I know we've heard the same answer from Team 5 forever. It's like, well, it's a game where you can just play it and figure it out. I'm just like, I hate that. I just disagree. I disagree, sir. I'm wearing a bow tie.
So there's a whole thing that tells you exactly how it works. But again, people in chat are saying, well, Yogg shouldn't hit itself. I mean, there's other battle cries that shouldn't work the way they do. It's all funky, man. And so we just kind of have to accept that we live in this world where some battle cries work this way and some don't. And we just got to let it go. But the problem is then when you're trying to order things out and stuff like that. But yeah.
Yep. Kind of a fun card. I'm not running to find a deck to fit it into, but I think it's a cool card.
So Tom is saying the buff happens in your hand. It doesn't happen when it's played. It makes perfect sense. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that to other cards, battle cry happens before the minion hits the board, right? So and in those scenarios, that's the problem. It's not that the buff happens before the card hits the board. It's that the battle cry happens before the card hits the board.
Typically, as far as battle cries are concerned, the minion that the battle cry triggered from are not on the board yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They do their thing, then their body's on the board. But whatever.
Which is why it shouldn't, in theory, trigger itself.
But whatever, it's Hearthstone.
At this point, I'm like done worrying about it. You know what I mean? It's like it's like, all right, dude. As long as I understand, as long as it is explained to me at some point, and that's why there's one thing I do kind of wish. It's like when you right click a card and you see the flavor text. It would be cool if they would also give you some by the way, this card kind of works differently than other cards in this respect. When those cards work differently, right?
Yep.
So, yeah.
All right. Another card vying for my favorite art of the entire set, and not just because I have 2 ferrets. Weasel Tunneler is next. This is a 1-mana epic 1/1 beast with a death rattle that reads, shuffle this minion into your opponent's deck. But it's a weasel wearing a hat. And
It looks very much like your hat that you're currently wearing, by the way, Garrett.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little tiny Garrett.
Yeah.
Did you just call me a weasel?
Yeah.
Well, you're just dressed the same as this guy, kind of. He's a terrible card, but it's a total meme card, and it'll be fun to mess around with and see if you can do some stuff, I'll go into, Wild, and I'll play this with Baron Rivendare, and I'll give you multiple weasels.
Well, I was gonna say, what do you do? Do you gang this up or something, and then just try to?
No, because if you gang it up, you put more in your deck. You don't want more in your deck. You want more in his deck.
So it's I'm getting your minions, but wait, they're 1/1s. You're filling my deck with 1/1s.
That's the thing. It's you what you're trying. But the thing is, and this is why it's so memey, is that you're okay, I can give you bad cards to make your draws worse. But I've also now made my draws worse by putting bad cards in my deck. So, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, not that great. Moving on to Genzo the Shark. This is the first neutral legendary we're going to talk about today. It's a 4-mana 5/4 that reads, whenever this attacks, both players draw until they have 3 cards.
So, what was the friggin' Jeeves?
Jeeves.
What was the guy?
Jeeves, the butler, who was a mech.
Yeah. Jeeves effect. On a better body, but it takes time to do it because you got to attack with it.
I was going to say that was the difference, right? Because Jeeves happened at the end of your
turn,
whereas this has to attack in order to trigger the effect.
You have to play it has to live, and then it has to attack.
Yeah.
So much harder to get off, but if you're looking for another aggressive minion it does have a more aggressive body. So in that particular scenario, like Jeeves was a 1/4, so you played like a crappy minion, just to draw more cards. And here, I guess you at least still get to play a 5/4. But then if it doesn't work, if they kill it, then your hand is just empty, and you have no way to refill it at that point because you have emptied your hand right at this point. So maybe there's something in the Brave Archer quick shot, friggin' whatchamacallit, the 4/4 for 4 that becomes a 7/7, the Hunter deck, where you just empty your hand, and this is like one possible way to fill it. And if it doesn't fill it, at least you still have top decks that are good with an empty hand. I don't know. I'm really reaching for a deck that makes this work.
Yeah.
But
I just like that his name is a mishmash of Genji and Hanzo from Overwatch.
well, that's yeah. Didn't even notice that. He's also, I like the art on this guy too. It's a little like child's drawing, kind of a little more than some of the other ones, but it makes him just like seem super creepy to me. Like it's a little more, it's not as nice. It's like a little more kind of all over the place.
Sketchy.
He's definitely creepy as hell.
I think it's a cool style. It's the smile, right? He's got this big kind of cartoony grin.
Well, yeah, with the crazy pointed teeth.
Yep.
Yeah, with the crazy teeth, and he's a poker player. I'm down for that. Cool card, but probably not that good.
Yep. Next is Mayor Noggenfogger. The mayor finally shows himself. This is a 9-mana legendary 5/4 that reads, all targets are chosen randomly. Wait, why isn't he an ogre?
Yeah, this is insane. Like, not insane good, like insane crazy. Like everything. Like, so like hero powers and stuff too, and weapon swings and minions, everything.
Yeah. It's got meme written all over it, so get out there and
like you won't even be able to directly kill it easily because you're not going to be able to freaking target the thing.
Well, yeah, but you might,
Well, there's still like equality consecrate, right? Like there's still
there's still things that don't have targets at all. But like sometimes they're just gonna storm crack it right away, and you're gonna be like, damn it, I paid 9 mana for that, But whatever, you don't play this in a deck you're trying to win with. You play this in a deck you're just trying to have fun with.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Hell yeah, why not? Why not make cards like this? It seems if you made it actually cheap, then it might cause problems. So I'm much more happy that they made it a 9-mana 5/4.
This is like the most Nosdormu-ass card I have seen since Nosdormu. Yeah. I kind of love it. Like it's not a card I'm ever gonna try hard with.
After Yogg, they were like, we can't do that again. Don't make this guy a 7/5. Like let's make his body really suck. Yeah. And I appreciate that, Blizzard.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't give us another Yogg.
Also keeping Trollden employed.
What if you play this in a Goons deck and it just gets buffed all to hell, and then you can never actually kill it?
Wow. That's true.
Hope you're a paladin.
You get like a 9-mana, 7/6 or something, and then it's like, yeah, it's all right. That's not too bad.
But you can't even make your own minions go where you want, so it just kind of
That's the thing.
Yeah.
What was the legendary that did this? Mogre the Ogre?
Yes.
It made but it was only attacks. This is spells too.
This is everything. Yeah. Anything that can possibly target anything.
Yep. Granted,
I'm excited to see how this looks when you play it, what happens, and how it just. I'm definitely gonna try it. We'll try it.
All right, let's bring it home with Sergeant Sally. If you saw the photo of me on Twitter with my black eye, this was the gnome that jumped out of the box Blizzard sent me and decked me and took me to Blizzard jail. This is a 3-mana legendary 1/1 with a death rattle that reads, deal damage equal to this minion's attack to all enemy minions. So this is something you want to buff, clearly, possibly going in your goon deck, which is funny because it's
She's definitely a goon.
An officer of the law, though.
Well, there's also the power overwhelming combo, which is the number one kind of thing you immediately jump to when you see this.
Yep.
Unfortunately, if you're playing this in like a warlock without a bunch of ways to buff it, that's the only card it combos with, and that's probably not worth it.
Yeah, that's why it's not that exciting.
It's really powerful when you pull that off, because a 4-mana deal 5 to everything on the enemy side of the board is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's why I like it more in a goon deck, because you're just passively buffing as you play.
Yeah, exactly. And then eventually you just play it. It doesn't damage your side, so you can just play it out as a whatever it is, and it's just a card the opponent suddenly has to deal with. If you can get it to a 5/5 or something like that, they're kind of screwed. So.
Yep.
Well, all right. That's done it, guys. We've talked about every card. Every card.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I
over.
want to open my packs now.
I do too.
You've been waiting so patiently, Dills.
I know. It's killing me.
I do too. But Joss had a question for all of us.
Oh, God. Okay.
I just want to know what deck we're going to play first. We haven't talked strategy in so long. I thought it would be cool if we were just like, what is your go-to deck going to be? Are you waiting until you open all of your cards and see what you get? Or is there something you're going to be crafting like as soon as possible, whether you open it or not?
I don't know like specifically what the deck looks like, but I'm very excited to try Paladin.
Oh, good. I thought when you started with the P sound, I thought you were going to say Priest. I was like, no, I want to play Priest.
Priest is right underneath that, but I think everyone's going to be playing Priest, so I'm going to go hipster mode and not play it. I'm very excited about Paladin. I've always just wanted... one of my favorite archetypes from Magic is like red-white with like Anthem and minion buffing effects. I just like that archetype, and it's fun, and Paladin has always kind of been at the cusp of almost being able to accomplish that in Hearthstone. But seeing as you can only ever have 7 minions on board at a time, it's never been that great. Like, Token Paladin's never really taken off. But with the Goon effect, like, all of this just passive buffing, I'm very excited to just get back in and try Paladin again. I've been away from them for pretty much the entire year, and it used to be my class. Like, if you ask me, throw down right now, what's your class? And it'd be like, mid-range Paladin, let's do this. So I'm very excited to get back.
What about you, Dills?
I have too many that, but
Well, see,
I guess
that's the thing. You're going to have to narrow it down and play one. So is it going to be like...
I theory crafted a few. I theory crafted a Demon Reno lock.
For wild or for standard?
No, just for standard, I think. I theory crafted... these are just standard decks so far. I'm going to start with standard, and I'll move my way into wild later. Theory crafted an aggro Goons Pally, which I think is probably similar to what Garrett's kind of talking about. And then I theory crafted Golem, Druid, and Rogue. I'm really interested to see actually how good this might actually be. And there's a couple ways to really kind of push that archetype, I think, forward a little bit. We had somebody post in our Reddit, like, I can't believe you guys think golems are going to be so good. There's only this many cards. But I think the thing that they're missing is that there's also Gang Up, Brand Bronzebeard, Shadow Step,
Discover effects,
Unearthed Raptors, Shadowcaster. There's all these other ways to get more out of those cards than just what they say on them, or to get more versions of those cards. So I think there's in Hearthstone you can always cheat a little bit and figure stuff out. So I'm really curious to see how those decks actually perform, and if they're insane or not that great or whatever. I just want to know. I want to get like that starting point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I'll know.
And Joss, Priest for you?
Priest, I think Priest for me, but I think I'm gonna let the card packs decide. So I'm gonna see which legendary chooses me first in terms of the tri-class cards, and then I think I'm gonna go from there.
You have over 100 packs to open. I think you'll be able to choose just about whatever the hell you want.
Yeah,
That
there'll be a deck you'll be able to make. Don't worry.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not worried. I'm excited, and I think I have a couple thousand dust laying around too. So I'll pretty much be able to make whatever I want to make, and I'm excited. I think that there's I'm kind of hoping that maybe I get the Cabal, because there's just so many of those Reno deck effects seem really cool. So I don't know. I'm interested in so many things. Like, you're totally right, Dills. There are so many things in this expansion that seem like they're going to be fun to play. Like, whether they're the most powerful deck ever, I don't really think matters, because there just seems like there's a lot of fun to be had in all of these new effects. So.
Yeah.
But I think
like I didn't
probably
even mention
Priest.
like Hunter. I'm gonna definitely I want to see how the Hunter deck works out.
I'm not gonna do Hunter because I always do Hunter, and I'm getting like I'm not sick of it by any means, but I'm just like, I need to branch out, because I'm at the point now where like I'm almost on autopilot with any Hunter deck that I play, and I need to get to that point with a lot of other classes. So
yeah.
No,
that's fair. I mean, but like there's no class that I'm not excited to try right now. I mean, I think really you could go down the list, and I mean, I'm really excited to try out, like I said, the Rogue and the Druid with the Golems, but I really think the Shaman is going to be the hardest one to make work, and so I'm excited to try that. I'm also excited to try some sort of control Shaman that uses the Jinyu. I'm excited. There's all sorts of cool stuff And I just want to kind of see how the interactions work. So today's going to be a day full of basically I've allotted this entire day to streaming and playing Hearthstone. So by the way, they also turned off the water in my building today. I got a notice for fixing some sort of pipe, and so all the water will be turned off in the entire building.
So you're going outside to use the restroom?
Today. So last night I was filling up like giant plastic cups full of water and putting them in the fridge and stuff, and like getting ready so that I'm not just screwed. But I wasn't able to take a shower this morning. It's like, it sucks. Like, one day I'm planning to just be in my house all friggin' day.
So you're the actual grimy goon on the show today, is what you're saying.
I'm the grimiest of the goons on the show today.
Grimiest of the goons. All right, fantastic. Well, with that in mind, let's get to those pack openings and end this show. Thanks again to our patrons, especially our Patreon producers, Declan H. and Peter Williams. You guys go above and beyond, and we really appreciate you guys supporting us for another year of the Angry Chicken. And we always thank more of you patrons, specifically on every episode we do, and that's not going to stop now. On this episode, thank you to Martin, thank you to Adam S., Adam K., Dan W., Matthew, who didn't give a last name, you know who you are, I hope, Mark R., Derek D., and Daniel R. Thank you all so much for supporting the show. Really, guys, the Patreon helps a lot. It's the whole reason we do extra content like this. It lets us take the time away from meetings and extra freelance and all kinds of other stuff. So really appreciate it. And if you enjoy the Angry Chicken, go to patreon.com/TAC to support the show. Other than that, there were 2 other shows this week. I don't think we need a long-winded outro. Thank you, everyone, for watching. If you're watching live, you're watching the video, stick around because we're going to open packs. And you can actually keep this stream open to watch my pack openings, but you can also open up Joss's and Dills to watch all of us open packs while we yell at each other for having better luck than we are having. So,
multi-Twitch is your friend.
Indeed. That's going to do it for this episode. Until next Tuesday, job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes!
Yes!
Woo!
Doing it for you guys.